You are listening to Small Business Straight Talk with your host, Amber De La Garza. Amber is a sought-after coach, trainer, speaker, and writer who gives small business owners the straight talk on productivity, time management, business systems, leading your teams, strategic decision-making, and mindset. No BS, fluff, or overused jargon. Just actionable strategies to get results and succeed in business. And here is your host, Amber De La Garza, the productivity specialist.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Small Business Straight Talk podcast. Today is episode 310, Hold the Line, reflecting on last year in my business. If you're a small business owner who wants to learn effective business strategies, improve time management, and elevate productivity to maximize profits, reduce stress, and make time for what matters most, then you're in the right place, and I'm so glad you've joined me. Today, we are going to be diving into a phrase that I have heard myself share with many clients over the last decade. Hold the line. And this phrase means more than anything right now in the season of life that I just came out of. So I'm going to be sharing with you a reflection back at my last year in my business, what was going on personally, what was going on in my business decisions that I made because of situations in my personal life, and what that actually looked like and what it means to hold the line. I hope you find today's episode to be encouraging and that you leave inspired and empowered that you can also make these decisions in your business. That no matter what you see, no matter what you hear others talking about, not all businesses are in full growth mode. Not all businesses are steadily pushing the pedal. That there are going to be times where the right thing to do is hold the line. If you have not already done so, I want to invite you to take my Next Level Business Owner quiz. You can get access to this quick quiz to find out what is most holding you back in your business. After taking this short quiz, you will get a personalized playlist from the podcast with specific episodes that address each of the challenges that are uncovered in the quiz. You can take the quiz by heading on over to amberdelagarza.com/quiz. And now let's get to the straight talk. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you behind the scenes of my business in 2023. And we're going to be talking about the strategy of holding the line and what that is, and that holding the line can be an effective business strategy. There are certain times in our business and in our life that there is not the time to push, to grow, to add, to expand, but rather hold the line and ensure you do not backtrack, that you do not give up ground, that when you come back into the business, meaning back into the business and ready to push forward, that you're not crawling yourself out of a hole because you backslid. All right. To share my story, I need to take you back to December of 2022. In December of 2022, I had 2 surgeries. Both surgeries, I thought I would be up and going and ready to roll by Christmas. And that did not exactly happen as planned. My healing journey became a bit lengthy. And also during those surgeries, I was diagnosed with stage 4 endometriosis. Now, the diagnosis was a surprise, but I had been dealing with the symptoms and how that had been affecting my body for some time. So the diagnosis was actually quite a relief, but it was an eye-opener to what was going on in my body. And I knew that I needed to put my health as a number 1 priority. That in each arena of our lives, relationships, health, our business, our spiritual growth, some areas of our life need extra attention. And this was certain. I was going into 2023 understanding that I did not want a Band-Aid, that I actually did not want to take the doctor's advice for a hysterectomy, that I wanted to explore ways to heal my body on the root causes, that I wanted to explore getting alternative support. And I knew that that would take a lot of focus, energy, intention. And the other thing that I was working with was that my energy while I was healing, the good days and the bad days, seemed to be a bit unpredictable. So as I went into 2023, I knew that at least for the first quarter, I needed to get my head wrapped around, like, what is going to be the new normal? What is it that I can balance between work and my relationships and my health? And I felt like I had found a balance. I felt like I was incredibly excited about this health journey. I was getting really, really good results. In fact, by the time my son had his spring break in March, I felt like nearly a completely new person. But what I had been told during this health journey that I was on is that you're going to feel really good and then you may not feel really, really good. And I was like, yeah, that's other people. Well, sure enough, I had some high highs, but as my body was healing, there was some low lows. So I needed to understand what my actual capacity was because I absolutely love my business. Because I would be in my business, I would be serving my clients, and I would be podcasting. And I love my family, and I love spending time with them. So I understood that it wasn't that I was trying to get away from anything. In fact, I had to have these strong boundaries and renegotiate what was going to be normal, quote unquote, holding the line, so that I could truly not feel stressed, that I could truly do the things that I'm committing to at 100%. And so as I was navigating this, here were my goals. And actually, it's my vision of success. So as you're listening to this episode, the first episode of 2024, I shared about having a vision of success so that your goals align with your vision of success. And your vision of success can be both in your business and your personal life. Not can, they will be. Absolutely, 100%. They need to be in both areas of your life. And because of new information and because of me prioritizing my health, my vision of success during this season looked much different. I knew that without a doubt, I needed to do this first and foremost for myself so that I could show up best as a wife and a mother, a business owner, a coach. Second, my marriage is incredibly important. And as I was having more and more difficult days and low energy, I was very cognizant of making sure I wasn't giving the last of my day, the last of my energy, low energy, to my husband and son. That I really wanted to save up some of those days or times in the days where I felt really good to be with them and not just invest that time solely in my business. So I created the plan to hold the line. And I was holding the line in the business because I wanted to ensure that as I got out of this season, as my vision of success and need to focus and spend my attention and time elsewhere, as that shifted back into my business, I knew I didn't want to make up ground. I knew that if I was focusing on my health and my relationships, that I truly wouldn't be happy if I felt like my business was suffering. So my job was to determine what holding the line meant. And for me, number one, what that meant was being able to show up consistently at 110% for my clients. Number two, it was the profitability in the business. Now, for me, I say profitability, which means the gross revenue needed to maintain, thus the profitability. Next was I wanted to ensure that my team felt supported, and I wanted to ensure that my team was with me on the other side of this season. So as the business, quote unquote, slowed down a bit, I wanted to let them know that they have a secure employment, that nothing is changing for them. They count on my business for income to their families. Next, because those were my goals, I looked at what did not support those goals. Meaning, what were the extra things that I was doing that was taking time, energy, and attention that did not directly affect the revenue, the servicing my clients, the keeping my team members employed. And when I reevaluated that, I was able to say no to a lot of extra things. We didn't do any new offerings, no special events weren't planned for 2023. We were not pitching me on podcasts to be interviewed, which is a big marketing strategy for us. I wanted to maintain podcasting. Podcasting is my number one lead generator, right? Like this is the one place that people can hear me, build a relationship with me, understand how I can support them. But I also do a lot of other strategies into marketing. And if any of those strategies took my bandwidth or time, I cut them. Now, the team was still doing other marketing like social media. We were doing emails still to our lists. We were nurturing those that came into our email list. But if it had added any extra time, that was a no for me. And generally each year, especially in January, we are always talking about, well, what can we add and what can we do differently and what can we experiment with? And that was not the conversation in Q1 of 2023. To me, not holding the line would have meant that I was not podcasting or I wasn't being able to be consistent with it. So holding the line and maintaining was definitely podcasting. And then next, when I looked at partnerships and extra business calls, all of that was a no. Now, this was easy for me to say no to because I understood what I was saying yes to. I understood that my time, energy, and attention needed to go elsewhere. I also understood that at this season of my business, meaning maturity of my business, I've been in business over a decade, I had a clear understanding about like what does it take to maintain versus what does it take to grow? And what are those activities that we do because we're looking to grow to the next level? And all of those in all areas of my business were a hard pause. And at this time, it wasn't even through the filter of all of 2023. I honestly did not think that I would need to hit pause in all of 2023. But what I was willing to commit to was a pause of anything extra in Q1 of 2023. And then the goal was to reevaluate. So at the end of Q1, when it was time to reevaluate what's working, what's not working, what could work, what are the strategies for Q2, I found out that my aunt was incredibly sick. It was one phone call. I thought she had a stroke. She was slurring her words. I asked her if she was okay, and she said she had fallen a couple times in the last 2 days. At this time, she lived by herself in a 3,000 square foot home, and I knew that she needed to get to the hospital. And that was the beginning of chapter 2 of 2023. She ended up being admitted to the hospital and was in there for almost a month. And during that month, my husband and I realized that she could no longer live on her own. And in fact, she had been neglecting her home, her health, her personal care for quite some time. So the new chapter was that I was taking over my elderly aunt's entire life. And nothing had been put in place, nothing had been talked about. So we're talking legal appointments, doctor's appointments, financial meetings and conversations. I had this home that had nearly 20 years of things in it. I'll let you guys fill in the blanks. It was a huge, huge undertaking to get her moved out of that home. And once I realized in early April that this was what was in front of us, I went down to a 3-day work week. And not even 3 full days. It was 3 6-hour days. Because these appointments required were during the week, doctor's appointments, attorney appointments, things that needed to be taken care of were within the business week. And I felt that it was stressing me, thinking I have to take care of my aunt's things or I have to work in the business. The thought of that was stressing me. And so I just said, okay, so this is what needs to happen. I need to cut back more. I need to ensure that I'm serving my clients. I need to ensure that the revenue maintains, and I need to ensure that my team is supported. And can I do that with a 3-day work week? And I'm happy to tell you that moving forward into 2024, in hindsight, it absolutely is possible or was possible. My weekends shifted to cleaning out my aunt's house. And as I said before, my relationship with my husband and my son were incredibly important. And so I also, as we got the legal appointments and financial appointments and doctor's appointments pretty much under control, I wanted to shift purging and cleaning her house to some of the work weekdays so that I still had time on the weekends to maintain my own household, to be able to go to a barbecue or hang out with friends. This wasn't going to be a short-term commitment. This ended up being nearly a year-long commitment. And so I needed to find what the new normal was and have really clear boundaries of what I needed to stay physically healthy, emotionally healthy, and give more and have more responsibilities in my personal life than I could have ever imagined having at this season of my business and life. Well, after cleaning it out for about 4 to 6 weeks, which were the weekends, and my husband was with me, I just have to give him credit. I could not have done this without him. We showed up one weekend and there was a water leak in the fridge ice machine. And because we hadn't been there since the last weekend, it had flooded the entire bottom floor of the house. We lost everything. My aunt lost everything on the bottom floor. And then it turned into an insurance claim and full-on construction. And at this point, because she lost everything on the first floor, the entire kitchen, the bathroom, the walls, everything was gutted to the studs, I decided that this was her one asset that she lived in for almost 20 years. And so then I found myself overseeing and leading a full entire construction gut of a 3,000 square foot house, which was not in the plans when this whole thing started. It was just get her cleaned out, get her packed up, and sell the house. And this added many, many, many more months and many, many more meetings, appointments, contractors, subcontractors, selecting everything. For all you designers out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So again, once this happened, I actually remember taking a deep breath and I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm ready for this. Because by the time this happened, it was like July. And I was like, I have prepared for this. Like I have maintained my business. I have prioritized my health. Like, let's do this. Again, all this was going on behind the scenes, and some of my clients knew some of this, and definitely nobody knew what was going on in the full picture, and nobody understood what was going on in real time. It was as I had moved past it or processed it that I was able to share my diagnosis, I was able to share my health journey, and I was able to share what was going on with the responsibilities of my aunt. And I shared it in pieces. And so this is the first time I'm sharing this story in entirety and in whole. And I'm sharing this because I often say we live real lives and we run real businesses. And when we think about the strategies of time management and productivity and setting our goals and vision of success and leading our teams and growing our businesses, all of that has to be in the context of what is the reality of the real life that we're living. I had just found myself in an incredibly challenging year that needed my attention elsewhere. And I had this business that I felt incredibly responsible for, that I absolutely loved. And I wanted to ensure that I had that to come back to when this all passed. Well, fast forward, the home actually closed 2 days ago. Such a blessing. It sold in less than 5 days. My aunt is happy, healthy in an assisted living, taken care of. She is up to date with all her doctor's appointments. All her financials are taken care of. All the legalities of being the trustee and everything that needed to be taken care of with her assets is done. And I was able to start 2024 with such gratitude. Gratitude because my health had really transformed. I am here to tell you that I am definitely not done with my health journey by any means. I think this is going to be a long journey, but I'm very optimistic to stay the course and heal my body from the inside out. And my business, I held the ground. I held the line, and I was able to replicate revenue from 2022. I was able to replicate profitability from 2022. And in fact, towards the end of 2023, I was able to say yes to events and speaking opportunities and bring some of that back in because I was able to spin all the plates and find my new balance. I don't know what is going on with you in your life, but because I intimately see behind the scenes of business owners every single day, I do know that you could be struggling with anything. You could be struggling with a loved one being ill or sick like I was. You could be struggling with your own health. You could be struggling with mental health challenges. You could have had a flood in your home. The list goes on. And none of those are a place to say, oh, I'm using this as an excuse. But I'm understanding that this is reality. And so what is my capacity? And what does holding the line in my business mean? Another visual that I like to use is that, we feel like we're always spinning a lot of plates, right? And we're like, over here, spin, 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 and this one falls down, and this one falls down, and this one falls down. Well, the work that I do with my clients is to first identify what plates need to be spun, and how do we show up, invest our time to ensure that all the plates are spinning as needed. Now, when these life changes happen, you get sick, a loved one gets sick. Maybe you even just have a big personal move. You're moving your home. It's a year of going to a new home and having to pack up and all those responsibilities. When you realize that you're in those seasons, what I like to say is choose the plates that you're going to set down. Right? Because if you ignore that you're in the season and you keep trying to spin, 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 the plates are going to come crashing down. And then the plates are broken. And it's a hell of a lot harder to get those plates up and going and spinning again when they're cracked and broken all over the floor. Now, it is not impossible. I help clients pick up the plates, rebuild them, and spin them again all the time. But the difference is when you hold the line, you don't need to pick up broken plates. When you hold the line and you find yourself through this season, you can now pick that plate back up, i.e. responsibilities, things you say yes to, meetings, the next push in your business, whatever that plate is a symbol of, you get to pick it back up and start spinning it. So I guess my advice here is take an audit of all the plates you're spinning and ask yourself, is there a plate that you need to sit down on the ground until you can pick it up again? The irony of this is, I don't know if you realize, but I probably have 50 to 75 subjects of solo episodes that come to mind. I have a place inside my project management system, ClickUp, that I document ideas and topics that I want to bring to you here on the podcast. And when I was sitting down with Crystal, my content manager, and we were planning this episode, I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. It's time to share this story. I need to share how I held the line. What did that really look like? It was messy, but it worked. And what can that look like for the people listening? And then you wouldn't believe it. It was the first topic at the top of the list when we went to our ideas section, and it said, in all caps, hold the line. So I had had this episode in me probably for a year, maybe even longer, because this is something that I see all the time. And this is advice that I give my clients. And this is how I help them determine what plates to put down before they come crashing in. What does holding the line mean? And where are they going to invest their time, energy, and attention? What needs their time, energy, and attention? And maybe it's not pushing their business right now, but making sure their business stays healthy. And then the irony of it is, I lived it out in 2023. And so now I'm able to tell you about this and teach you this and also share with you firsthand what that looked like for an extended period of time. So as we close out, I want to share with you why you would want to do that. This could be for 2 weeks. This could be for a quarter. This could be for a year, as it was with me. But what does it look like on the other side? I'm hitting the ground running in 2024. I am incredibly optimistic. I am in love with my business. I am grateful for my business, that I was able to maintain the business with minimal input. And now when I'm ready to show back up 5 days a week or 4 days a week, whatever that ends up being, I kind of flex my Fridays. I don't always work Fridays. But the time I decide to reinvest back into the business is exciting because I'm choosing it, because I can get excited about the next promotion. I can get excited about the way I serve my clients the next time. And that's what I want for you. Had I not had a specific strategy to hold the line, I may have gotten my aunt completely taken care of and done exactly what I wanted to do to support her. And I may have made huge progress on my health and felt really good about that. And then turned around and felt really shitty about where my business was at. And I knew that wasn't what I wanted to feel. And I knew that that feeling was not going to serve how I got to show up in my business. Hold the line. If you need to, determine what holding the line looks like. Determine, is this a week? Is it 2 weeks? Is it a month? Is it a quarter? And maybe you make a decision like I did, and it was like, hey, just for the first quarter. And then life kind of punches you in the face, and you're like, okay, I'm going to reset. You may not know the duration. You can reevaluate at the end of that time frame that you gave yourself. And all I ask is that you are being honest with yourself. You see, I didn't think of any of these things that I was prioritizing as excuses. They truly were my priorities. And as you know, I define productivity as investing your best time into your best activities. And that is a framework that can lay over any area of your life: health, relationships, and surely and most definitely your business. And in this time, what you heard me say is my best time and my best activities needed to align with prioritizing my best time with my husband, with my son, and not when I was just exhausted. I need to prioritize my best time into the habits, the behaviors, the protocols of prioritizing my health. I needed to invest my best time into the activities of moving through this process of helping my aunt. And I also needed to use my best time and my highest value activities in my business, which was serving my clients, creating this podcast, and leading my team. And that I knew I was able to do. So what is your hold the line? What is your highest value activities? What does it mean for you to be productive in this season of your life, to find joy and balance? I have loved having you listen to this episode of Small Business Straight Talk. And I sure hope you found my story, my experience, and bringing you behind the scenes to be empowering and encouraging to you, to understand that we are real people living real lives, running real businesses, and to let you know that it doesn't always have to look like growth. It doesn't always have to look like what's next, what's the big goal. Sometimes that big goal is taking care of yourself or a loved one. Sometimes that looks like success is just not retreating, just saying you're going to show up consistently, just saying that you're going to hold the line until you're in a new season of your life. No change, no change. Without taking action, nothing will change for you or your business. So this is one of those episodes that unless you're in this season right now where I'm speaking to you and you're like, oh my gosh, this episode was for me. I need to reevaluate. I need to determine what holding the line looks like. I need to look at my schedule and my commitments. Then I hope that when you do, not if, because we will all find ourselves in this situation at one point or another. But when you find yourself in this situation, that you do give yourself the gift of pausing, asking yourself what you need, redrawing up the plan, and working the new plan until you know you're ready to create a new plan and push forward. Whether you're in a place of high growth or holding the line, I would love to work with you. I would love to partner with you and help you come up with these strategies, hold you accountable to these strategies, not just growing your business, but potentially prioritizing other areas of your life. If that interests you, I invite you to book a discovery call for my Peak Performance one-on-one coaching program. You can head on over to amberdelagarza.com/coaching to learn more and book a call. So that's my straight talk for today. Until next time, have a productive week.